Hey, this is Zach with musclesandveggies.com, and today we're going to talk about the top 4 signs of gluten sensitivity. Maybe you're wondering, am I gluten sensitive? What's all this hype about going gluten free? And the reason why I wanted to do this video, there was actually a recent study that just came out, and they talked about the top 4 signs that someone is gluten intolerant. The number 1 sign that someone is gluten intolerant is actually brain fog. So if you're walking around and you feel like your memory is failing, that you're in this foggy haze, your mind just isn't working right, you could be having brain fog from a gluten intolerance or a gluten sensitivity. Number 2 symptom is depression. Depression and anxiety rates are higher than ever in our society. Why is that? Well, one of the most common symptoms they found in this study correlated to gluten intolerance or gluten sensitivity was depression. How does that work? Well, actually we synthesize 5-HTP or tryptophan that makes our serotonin in our gut. So if gluten is disrupting the gut's ability to break down and assimilate the nutrients it needs, then it's not going to make serotonin. We make serotonin in our gut, and it's derived to the brain to give us our feel-good neurotransmitters. Number 3, this was a shocker for me, was actually sleep disorders. So if you're having any kind of trouble sleeping, insomnia, wakefulness, these things can come from a gluten intolerance. Again, we derive serotonin from our gut. Serotonin is not wasted. At the end of the day, it is converted to melatonin, and that is why we sleep so good after a day at the beach or a day at the river or the creek, because sunshine elicits the production of serotonin, which makes us feel really good. How do you sleep when you come home that night? You sleep like a baby when you've been in the sun all day. So if you're not making enough serotonin in the gut because of a gluten intolerance, you're not going to make melatonin, which is going to disrupt your sleep as well. That brings me to my number 4, which is the blatantly most obvious symptom, is gastrointestinal distress. So if you eat gluten-containing products, or you eat bread or wheat or pasta, something along those lines, and you immediately feel gastrointestinal distress, maybe it's acid reflux, indigestion, bloating, gas, nausea, any of those things can be from the inability to digest gluten. Gluten is like the glue that binds the flour together. This is why you can throw a pizza crust in the air and it will stick together. It's the gluten that's in the wheat that actually glues everything together. So think about putting glue into your small intestines and in large quantities and having to break that down. If you already have an inflamed gut, maybe from stress or food allergies or something else, then gluten is extremely hard to break down into the gut. That raises inflammation. The next thing you know, you're having an angry gut. What is that? That's IBS. That's just a term, irritable bowel syndrome, for your guts are mad at you right now. The best thing you can do if you're wondering, well, how do I know for sure, is exclude gluten or wheat products from your diet for the next 3 to 4 weeks, and then add them back in and see how you feel. So if you feel really good without gluten for the next 3 to 4 weeks and you add it back in and some of your symptoms or some of your ailments comes back, it could be joint pain, it could be the brain fog, it could be the depression, it could be the sleep disorders, it could be gas, bloating, an angry gut like we talked about. But you will not know unless you give it a try. Do I think that gluten-free diet is for everyone? No, I don't. I feel like there are some people who can process gluten really well. In fact, what's interesting is most people can go to other countries and eat their wheat products, and they can tolerate those very, very well. But the United States wheat will give people with a gluten intolerance some serious problems. Why is that? Because the wheat that's made in America actually is sprayed with glyphosate as a desiccant. That means it dries it out super fast, because wheat has to die before it can be harvested. So when they figured out they could do this with glyphosate, they realized that they could purposely desiccant the wheat or dry the wheat within a week's period of time. Now I can get that crop out of the soil and get another crop into the soil. That's 2 harvests in 1 year. Was that wheat crop supposed to be harvested twice in 1 year? Absolutely not. So what happens when you harvest wheat immaturely, it throws off the gluten to fiber ratios in that product. So now we have more gluten and less fiber into the wheat. This is why we've seen a rise in gluten intolerance or gluten sensitivity over the last 20 to 25 years. When we were kids, did we hear about gluten sensitivity or gluten intolerance or celiac disease? No, I didn't. What about you? So much of health and nutrition is just about internally going within and seeing how do these foods make me feel. Because there is no one size fits all. There is no one keto approach or vegan approach or vegetarian or Ornish diet or zone diet or any of these things. There is no one approach. There is your approach and there is my approach. We each individually have to figure out what that approach is, and we can only do that with trial and error, entering things in and seeing how we feel, seeing how we perform, seeing how our body functions with those things. That being said, if you are interested in food allergy testing, there's a simple test we can do to see if your body's immune system is reacting to gluten or wheat-containing products. This food allergy test tests for 96 different foods. It will tell you your body's response to these foods like dairy and wheat and nuts and seeds and eggs and all these different things, so we can know what is triggering our immune system, what is raising inflammation in the body. If you have questions about this food allergy testing, feel free to shoot me an email, musclesandveggies, all one word, @gmail.com. Stay tuned for more tips for Muscles and Veggies, and thanks for watching.